Hi everybody and welcome to this bonus video for all of you on the Diploma in Photography course here with Shaw Academy. You are here with myself, William Eames, as always your educator for the photography courses here in Shaw Academy. And in this brief flowing lesson we are going to be having a look at 5 tips to get the most from your 18 to 55mm lens. This is the standard kit lens with the overwhelming majority of cameras. And it's an underrated lens. A lot of students who go and buy this lens, the one that comes with the cameras, quite often email me, ask me, should I be upgrading this lens? They want to replace it straight away, and I'm always against going out there and buying equipment when you don't understand what you are currently using. So there's a few tips I recommend that you apply to your photography when you are using your 18 to 55mm lens, and you're going to find that you'll get a lot more out of this lens. So the first thing I'd really recommend is you get familiar with your apertures. Okay, so our aperture ranges on the 18 to 55mm lens. You may have seen these numbers before and wondered exactly what they are. The 3.5 to 5.6. This is the widest aperture that your lens can use at the respective focal lengths. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, basically that means if I am shooting at 18mm, the widest aperture that I can use is f3.5. However, if I zoom in to 55mm, the widest aperture I can use is f5.6. You will lose nearly 2 stops of light when you zoom in. In other words, the picture is going to become darker and you need to compensate for that. And of course, the other effect that you're going to have with this is that there's not going to be as shallow a depth of field when you are shooting at f5.6. So that is the very first thing that you need to get familiar with. And if you've ever seen this happen on your camera, when you zoomed in and the aperture range changes, now you know why. So do be aware of that, because understanding your lens's limitations will also help you to understand how to get the most out of it as well. The next thing to be aware of with that in mind is to keep it steady. Many 18 to 55mm lenses are going to have some kind of vibration control, or in the case of this Nikon lens, VR, which is vibration reduction. It may also appear as IS, image stabilizer, VC, vibration control, OS, optical stabilization, and so on. It just depends on the brand. It might be called something different, but it's the same fundamental idea no matter what brand that you're using. Vibration reduction is there to help you when you are photographing and you need to avoid camera shake. So particularly at longer focal lengths, like I was saying with our 55mm, you're going to only have a widest aperture of f5.6, so you lose a little bit of light. The vibration control can make a lot of difference in making sure you're not going to get camera shake. Do always keep an eye on your shutter speeds, as vibration control does have a limitation, but for everyday photography, I recommend that you have it switched on. It will help you to avoid camera shake in a lot of instances. If you happen to be doing a longer exposure and putting the camera on a tripod, I'd recommend that you switch off your vibration reduction, as it can actually cause a little bit of camera shake when it's on something steady. But it's perfect if you're out there and you're doing handheld photography, so do be aware of that as well. Now, with your 18 to 55mm, you might be thinking, what is it ideal for? So what should I be using it for? Which focal length is the best to use? So there's no one focal length that is the best to use, but something that like 18mm is going to be ideal for your landscape photography, or anything wide angle, your wide interior shots and so on. But when you zoom in, something like 55mm, this is going to be much more suitable for things like portraits and that. So if you're photographing people, do consider using the longer focal length, the 55mm. And the reason for this is that focal length has a big effect on the face. Like this experiment from Dan Wojcik shows you here, that as he's cycling through all these different focal lengths, the wider focal lengths do distort the face. So do have a look at this. If you could try this out yourselves as well, you know, you shoot at 18mm, you're going to see a lot more of an egg kind of shape on the person's face than if you are shooting at the 50 or 55mm range. So do consider that when you're photographing people, that the higher focal lengths are going to represent your people a lot better. And finally then as well, your 18 to 55 millimeter lens, you may have seen this symbol on it before, the little macro symbol and these little numbers beside it as well. And that indicates the minimal focusing distance of your lens, and quite often 18 to 55 millimeters actually have a fairly decent close focus range. So this means that you can do a little bit of macro or close-up photography with them as well. So something like this will get you, for those of you who are familiar with your macro ratios, it's going to get you about a third closer to the subject than a standard lens. So you can get a little bit closer in on your subject as well using these 18 to 55 millimeter lenses. So it's a great versatile lens to practice out your landscape, your portrait, and a little bit of close-up photography as well. So don't underestimate it. I do hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you found some of those tips to be very, very useful. And hopefully you're seeing that 18 to 5 millimeter in a new light and seeing a little bit more potential with it as well. I'll see you all back for your next lesson in Diploma in Photography. Thank you very much.